Imagine a storm tearing through forgotten mountains, a young girl separated from her friends, stumbling into a cavern no human has seen for 1,000 years, where a colossal dragon lies in silence, waiting for the one voice desperate enough to awaken it. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Now, let's jump into the story. Deep in the northern range, where the winds carved scars into stone and snow lingered even in summer, lay the forgotten peaks of Malvern Ridge. The place was known to few and feared by many. Old maps marked it as dangerous, a place where storms never seemed to rest, yet its beauty was undeniable. Sharp cliffs rose like broken teeth against the sky, and shadows clung to the valleys as if guarding secrets too old for human memory. On a late autumn afternoon, a school group had set out for a hiking trip along the safer trails at the base of the ridge. The students carried backpacks and bright jackets, their voices cheerful despite the chill in the air. Among them was a 14-year-old girl named Leah Morgan. She was curious, thoughtful, and often more focused on the details of the world around her than on the group's steady pace. The weather had been calm when they started, but in the mountains, calm could vanish in moments. Clouds gathered quickly, thick and heavy, swallowing the light. The cheerful chatter of the hikers soon gave way to uneasy glances. Before long, the first drops of icy rain turned into sheets of water, and a storm descended with terrifying force. Wind howled through the trees, bending branches until they cracked. Thunder rolled across the peaks, echoing like the growl of some unseen giant. In the chaos, voices shouted and scattered. Leah tried to follow her classmates, but the curtain of rain blurred everything. Her boots slipped on wet ground, and fear surged through her as she realized she had lost sight of everyone. Her heart pounded as she stumbled through the storm. The rain soaked her jacket, and the cold began to bite deep into her bones. She called out for help, but her voice was lost in the roar of thunder and rushing wind. Her only thought was to keep moving, to find shelter before night closed in completely. After what felt like hours, the storm eased, leaving a gray, misty silence. Leah stood at the edge of a dense forest she didn't recognize. The trail was gone. All directions looked the same, and panic threatened to take hold. She forced herself to remember the survival tips her teacher had drilled into them. Don't panic. Find shelter. Conserve energy. Then she saw it, faint lights flickering between the trees. They glowed silver and pale blue, almost like lanterns swaying in an invisible breeze. She blinked, thinking it was her tired eyes playing tricks, but the lights danced again, drifting deeper into the forest. Desperation pushed her to follow. Each step crunched on fallen leaves and snapped twigs beneath her boots. The forest seemed endless, shadows stretching tall and strange. The lights kept moving, never too far ahead, as if they wanted her to chase them. Eventually, the forest opened to reveal a dark mouth set into the mountainside. A cave. The air that drifted from it was unexpectedly warm, carrying the faint scent of stone and earth. Compared to the freezing air outside, it felt almost welcoming. "Better than out here," Leah whispered, clutching her flashlight. She stepped inside. The beam of her flashlight cut through the gloom, revealing walls that were smooth and polished, as though shaped by more than just water and time. The sound of dripping water echoed softly, and the floor sloped gently downward. The deeper she went, the warmer the air grew. Her breathing and the fear of freezing lessened, but with every step, the silence pressed in tighter. The lights that had led her vanished at the cave entrance, leaving only the weak glow of her flashlight. Still, Something urged her onward, as though she was meant to find whatever lay ahead. After what seemed like an eternity of twisting passages, Leah entered a cavern so vast that her light could not reach the ceiling. The space felt like a hidden cathedral, its walls lined with glittering mineral veins that shimmered faintly in her beam. At first, she thought the enormous shape in the center was a rock formation, layered with crystal. But as her light swept across it, she froze. The rock had scales, not small like a fish, but massive, each one the size of her backpack, catching the light with dull reflections of blue and green. Her breath caught in her throat. She stepped closer, heart racing. The shape curved like a mountain of flesh, coiled in on itself. The rise and fall of its surface was so subtle she almost doubted it. But then she realized this was no rock. This was a living creature, a dragon. The word formed in her mind with crushing weight. Dragons were legends, stories from books and films. Yet here, in the heart of the mountain, lay proof that the old myths carried truth. The dragon's head rested on folded limbs, its jawline strong, its horns curving backward like ancient crowns. Even in sleep, its presence filled the chamber with silent power. Every instinct screamed at Leah to turn and flee, but she could barely stand on her aching ankle. Outside was freezing wilderness, with no food, no light, and no hope of rescue before morning. Here, at least, the air was warm, and the giant beast seemed lost in a deep, unbroken sleep. She sank to the cavern wall, wrapping her arms around her knees. Her flashlight flickered, threatening to die, and fear crept back into her chest. Where had it come from? How had it remained hidden all this time? Why had no one discovered it before? The question swirled as exhaustion overtook her. The warmth of the cavern and the rhythm of the dragon's slow breaths lulled her into uneasy rest. In the forgotten mountain, far from her group, Leah Morgan had stumbled into a secret untouched for 1,000 years. And she did not yet know that her whisper, spoken in desperation, would soon awaken an ancient power. Leah Morgan awoke to silence so heavy it pressed on her chest. The cave was darker than before, her flashlight lying dim at her side, the beam weak and fading. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then memory rushed back. The storm, the forest, the strange lights, and the impossible sight of a dragon sleeping beneath the mountain. Her ankle throbbed sharply when she tried to move. She winced, biting her lip to hold back a cry. The cold had settled into her bones earlier, but now the cavern's warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. She was safe from the freezing night outside, but trapped with something that belonged to legends, not the real world. The dragon's massive form loomed in the shadows, scales like dark stone, shifting slightly with each breath. Its presence was overwhelming, so vast that Leah felt like a mere speck in its world. She reached into her bag and pulled out a granola bar, unwrapping it carefully. The sound of the plastic crinkle seemed too loud in the silence, echoing against the cavern walls. She chewed slowly, her eyes never leaving the dragon. As the hours dragged on, exhaustion mixed with fear. She found herself whispering, though she knew the creature couldn't hear. "I don't know what to do," she said quietly. "I just want to go home." Her voice trembled. But speaking somehow eased her heart. The cavern no longer felt so crushingly silent. She continued talking, as if the dragon were listening. She told it about the hiking trip, about her friends, about how she had always loved science and never believed in stories of magic. Still, the dragon did not stir. As time passed, Fever began to burn through her. Her sprained ankle had swollen, and she remembered the scrape on her leg from falling in the forest. The wound throbbed, hot to the touch. Her thoughts grew cloudy, and she fought to stay awake. In her haze, she pressed her hand against the dragon's scales. They were smooth, not rough as she expected, and warm with a strange hum beneath the surface, like touching living stone that carried hidden energy. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered again, her voice weak. "Please help me. I don't want to die here." The moment the words left her lips, everything changed. A glow shimmered faintly beneath the scales. Spreading like veins of light through the dragon's body, Leah stumbled back in shock, eyes wide. The cavern brightened with soft blue radiance, pushing back the darkness. The giant body shifted, muscles flexing for the first time in centuries. Stone cracked beneath its claws as the dragon's head lifted slowly, scales shining with renewed brilliance. Then its eyes opened, enormous, glowing orbs of blue fire, focusing directly on her. Leah froze, breath caught in her throat. The cavern seemed to hold its breath too, and then a voice filled her mind. It was not sound but thought, deep and resonant, as if mountains themselves had chosen to speak. "You woke me," Leah gasped, stumbling back until her shoulders pressed against the cavern wall. You can talk?" she stammered, though her voice sounded small compared to the vast presence before her. The dragon tilted its head, horns scraping faintly against stone. "I can do many things, child. Speaking is among the simplest." Her heart pounded wildly. She could hardly breathe. Every story she had dismissed as myth now stood living before her. The dragon lowered its head, bringing eyes the size of shields close to her. "You are very small and young, yet your voice reached me through the long sleep." Leah's thoughts stumbled over themselves. I didn't mean to wake you. I was afraid." A low rumble vibrated through the floor, not threatening, but almost amused. "Fear is no crime. It is the oldest of companions." Her trembling slowed slightly. There was no fire, no attack, only calm observation. "Who are you?" Leah asked, voice steadier now. The dragon blinked slowly. "In your tongue, I am called Seraphis, the last of the elder dragons. I have slept for 1,000 years, waiting for the world to forget me." The words echoed in her mind like thunder. 1,000 years, longer than any human civilization she had studied. "Why did I wake you?" she asked softly. Seraphis's gaze. Because you spoke the oldest magic, a plea for help given in true need. Those words are stronger than fire, stronger than stone. They are the reason I now rise." Leah shivered. She had not meant magic. She had only wanted to survive. But somehow, her voice had carried power beyond her understanding. Before she could speak again, a new sound cut through the chamber. Low, guttural, and wrong. It echoed through the tunnels, a growl that sent every hair on her body standing on end. Seraphis turned her head sharply, nostrils flaring. "We are not alone." Leah's stomach clenched. "What is it?" The dragon's eyes narrowed, glowing brighter in the dark. "Trouble." The growl returned, louder this time, joined by the scrape of claws on stone. From the far tunnel, shadows moved, and glowing violet eyes appeared, fixed on Leah. Her heart nearly stopped. A creature emerged, its body long and low, 6 limbs carrying it with unnatural speed. Its jaw lined with rows of jagged teeth. Seraphis stepped forward, wings stretching slightly, blocking Leah from the beast's view. "Stay behind me," the dragon commanded, voice ringing in her thoughts. The cavern filled with tension. Leah clutched her chest, breath sharp and fast, realizing that her desperate whisper had awakened not only a guardian, but also drawn the attention of something far more sinister in the dark. The cavern shook with the low growl of the creature, its violet eyes glowing in the dark like fire embers. Leah pressed her back against the stone wall, her breath quick and shallow. Every instinct told her to run, yet her injured body reminded her she could barely move. The beast stepped forward into the faint blue glow from Cerathis' scales. Its form was larger than any animal Leah had ever seen, taller at the shoulder than a horse, with 6 powerful limbs that carried it low to the ground. Its fur shifted colors as it moved, blending with stone and shaw, like camouflage brought to life. Most terrifying of all were the 3 eyes set in a triangular pattern on its head, glowing sickly and unblinking. Cerathis' chest expanded as she drew in a breath. The air around her body hummed with energy, the cavern trembling beneath her claws. Her voice rang in Leah's mind, deep and steady. It is a dusk prowler, a predator from the age of magic. I thought their kind long gone. The beast let out a snarl, rows of jagged teeth glistening with saliva, its gaze locked not on the dragon, but on Leah. The dragon noticed too. It hunts you. Your wound called it here. Fear surged through Leah, but before she could speak, Cerathis shifted her massive body, standing fully between her and the prowler. The dragon's wings unfolded slightly, filling the cavern with shadows of their own. Run, Cerathis commanded in her mind. I can't, Leah whispered aloud. My ankle, you can now. My breath healed you. The dragon lowered her head toward a narrow passage across the chamber. There, go, I will hold it. The beast paced closer, growling low, each step echoing across the stone. Leah's heart pounded as she forced herself to move. She stumbled at first, then realized her ankle carried her weight without pain. The dragon had been telling the truth. With shaky breaths, she sprinted toward the hidden tunnel. The air grew colder as she moved, and her flashlight beam flickered. Near the cave wall, something caught her eye, metal half buried beneath loose rock and moss. She stopped, curiosity piercing through her fear. Crouching quickly, she brushed away the dirt and revealed an ancient sword. Its blade was tarnished but intact, marked with strange runes along the edge. The handle felt warm as she lifted it, heavier than anything she had ever held, yet oddly balanced. Behind her, the cavern thundered as the prowler lunged. Cerathis unleashed a torrent of blue-white flame. The beast twisted with unnatural speed, dodging, but the fire seared across its flank. The smell of burned fur filled the chamber, and its howl shook the walls. Go, Cerathis roared in her mind again. Leah gripped the sword tightly, fear and determination battling inside her. She turned toward a narrow opening leading to the surface, climbing fast. But the sound of the prowler's claws striking stone grew closer. It was relentless, ignoring the dragon's attacks, climbing after her. She emerged onto a ledge high on the mountainside. The night sky stretched wide above, stars glimmering across a clear horizon. Far below, tiny specks of light flickered, the search party she had prayed for. Hope stirred, but it was quickly drowned out by the sound of the prowler squeezing out of the tunnel behind her. The beast stalked forward, its glowing eyes locked on her. Leah raised the sword with trembling hands. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice breaking in the cold night air. The prowler snarled, unimpressed. It crouched low, preparing to leap. Then something extraordinary happened. The runes along the sword's blade lit up, glowing with the same blue light that flowed through Cerathis' scales. The warmth spread into Leah's arms, steadying her grip. The beast lunged. Acting on instinct, Leah thrust the sword forward. A pulse of energy exploded from the blade, striking the prowler mid-air. The force hurled it backward into the mountainside. It let out a furious howl, stunned and confused. Leah stared at the glowing sword in disbelief. The light illuminated the ledge, casting shadows across the rocks. The symbols along the blade shifted and danced like living flame. Behind her, wings beat the air. Serethis soared from the cave, her massive form silhouetted against the moon. She circled once, then dove down, eyes blazing. The prowler recovered quickly, shaking itself, but now it hesitated. It growled, low, keeping its distance, its three eyes flicking between the dragon above and the glowing sword in Leah's hands. Serethis landed heavily on the slope, stone cracking beneath her claws. Her voice thundered inside Leah's mind. "You wield a gift left behind by one who stood with me long ago. That blade is dragon-forged. It answers to your courage." The prowler snarled and leapt again, desperate. This time Leah swung the sword in a wide arc. The glowing edge struck the beast's shoulder. Releasing another burst of energy, it howled in pain, stumbling back. Serethis opened her jaws, unleashing a focused beam of blue flame. It struck the wounded prowler, enveloping it in light. When the glow faded, the creature was gone, erased as though it had never existed. Leah lowered the sword, her arms trembling. Her chest rose and fell in heavy breaths, but she was alive. Serethis stepped closer, her massive head lowering until her glowing eyes met Leah's. "Few humans could wield that blade, but you did. Not why, but with resolve. It responded to your intent." Leah looked down at the sword, which now appeared dull once more, the runes silent. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why me?" The dragon's rumbling response filled the air. "Because you asked for help with truth. Because you carried no greed, only survival. The ancient gift was waiting for someone like you." Leah turned toward the horizon. Below, the search party's lights moved higher up the slopes, but she could not shake the weight of the sword in her hands, nor the bond forming with the creature who had stood against the dark at her side. The battle was over, but her journey had only just begun. The mountain air was sharp and cold on Leah's face, but her heart still raced with the heat of the battle. The ledge beneath her feet trembled faintly, as if the earth itself remembered the clash between dragon and beast. She stood with the sword heavy in her hands. The glow now faded, its runes quiet once more. Serethis lowered her great head until her glowing eyes were level with hers. The dragon's scales caught the moonlight, shimmering with faint hues of blue and silver. Her voice filled Leah's mind, deep and resonant. "You wielded the blade with courage. Very few of your kind could have done what you did tonight." Leah's arms trembled with exhaustion. She looked down at the ancient sword, still struggling to believe what she had seen and done. "I didn't even know what I was doing," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. A rumble passed through the dragon's chest, almost like distant thunder. "That is why the blade answered you. You did not swing it with pride or cruelty. You acted to protect, not destroy. The sword responds to truth of intent." For a moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the wind whistling through the peaks. Leah glanced toward the valley far below. The lights of the search party glimmered faintly, winding their way up the mountain. Safety was so close. She could call out, she could be rescued, she could go home. But her gaze returned to the dragon towering over her. "What happens now?" she asked. Serethis raised her head slowly, her vast wings shifting against the night sky. "Now I must leave. The world of humans has grown large in my absence. There are few places left where a creature like me can remain unseen." The words sank heavily into Leah's chest. She wanted to protest, to beg the dragon to stay. But deep down, She knew the truth. If others discovered Cerathis, they would come with weapons, greed, and questions. They would never let her rest again. "Will I ever see you again?" Leah's voice broke as she spoke. The dragon's mental voice softened, carrying something almost like sorrow. "Perhaps. The blade is yours now. It was left behind long ago by a human who once stood at my side. He said that one day another might need it. Tonight proved him right. As long as you keep it, it will carry a trace of my power. It may guide you back to me if fate wills it." Leah tightened her grip on the sword. She felt the weight not only of steel, but of history, of responsibility. She nodded, though tears blurred her vision. "I'll keep it safe, I promise." Cerathis studied her for a long moment, then lowered her head again. With careful movement, the dragon nudged a small fragment loose from one of her scales. It glowed faintly, brighter than moonlight, yet softer than fire. She placed it gently in Leah's hands. "This shard will light your path when the world grows dark," the dragon said. "It will remind you that you are not alone, even when shadows surround you." Leah stared at the shard, its glow warming her palms. "Thank you," she whispered. From the distance came the faint sound of voices, searchers calling her name. The sound drew her back to reality. The search party was close now, their lanterns bright against the forest below. Cerathis turned toward the open sky, spreading her wings wide for the first time in 1,000 years. The sight was breathtaking. Vast wings stretching farther than Leah could comprehend, each movement sending gusts of wind rolling across the ledge. "Go to your people," Cerathis said. "They will find you, and they will hear only of a girl who survived the storm. Nothing more. Keep our secret, Leah Morgan. It will protect us both." Leah's heart ached, but she nodded firmly. "I'll keep it. I won't tell anyone." With a powerful beat of her wings, the dragon launched into the air. The mountain shook as she rose, her massive body silhouetted against the moon. Her scales glimmered like living stars as she climbed higher, disappearing into the endless night sky. Leah stood frozen, the shard glowing softly in her hands, the sword heavy at her side. The roar of the wind faded until only the quiet of the mountain remained. A call echoed from below. "Leah, Leah!" She turned toward the sound, blinking back tears. The searchlights moved steadily upward, closer with each passing minute. Relief and sadness tangled inside her chest. She would be found. She would go home, but she would never forget what had happened here. As she looked one last time toward the horizon, she felt a spark of wonder kindle deep inside her. Magic was not gone. It was hidden, waiting in shadows and caves, waiting for voices willing to speak with honesty and courage. She gripped the sword and the glowing shard tightly, whispering to herself, "This is not the end, it's just the beginning." And though the dragon had vanished into the sky, Leah knew their bond would endure, carried not only by steel and crystal, but by the truth they had shared in the forgotten mountain.